Floyd Mayweather might be the most influential boxer of all time, but his impact may have ruined the sport. What if I were to tell you that modern-day boxing politics, the delay of super fights, the way boxing is structured with boxers being at the center, and them getting paid so much money, undefeated records being prioritized by young fighters, the decline of young fans being attracted to boxing, and boxing getting its infamous label as boring and YouTube boxing were all caused by one man, Floyd Money Mayweather Jr.? In this video, I'm going to explore Floyd Mayweather's impact on the sport of boxing and how it has directly influenced the state of modern-day boxing. Before I begin, I want to preface this by saying that I am not a Floyd Mayweather hater. I completely respect him. He is one of the greatest to ever do it, and I appreciate what he has done for the sport. However, his lasting impact has profoundly changed boxing, some of it for the good, but in my opinion, mostly for the bad. Let's dive into it. Starting off with a pretty straightforward one, the recent influx of undefeated records, especially among new up-and-coming stars, is a definite direct result of Floyd Mayweather's impact. As you may know, Floyd Mayweather is undefeated and famously holds a 50-0 record. Throughout these 50 fights, he faced some of the toughest competition, including Hall of Famers and all-time greats. While it can be argued that he didn't always take these fighters at their absolute prime and may have delayed these fights, what cannot be denied is his promotional advantage as an undefeated fighter. Every Floyd Mayweather fight followed a formula where his undefeated record became the centerpiece of promotional campaigns. Trailers, posters, and merchandise such as t-shirts and hats prominently displayed his current record. Fans tuned in to see if he could maintain his perfect record, and this strategy proved extremely successful. Naturally, other promotions sought to replicate this success by manufacturing undefeated records for their boxers. If you look at the pound-for-pound rankings in 2004, most boxers had at least 2 losses, with Floyd Mayweather being the only undefeated fighter. Fast forward to the rankings today, and nearly all top 10 boxers have either 0 or just 1 loss, with no boxer having more than 2 losses. The shift is stark, and the one constant throughout this change is Floyd Mayweather's presence at the top of these rankings, setting a precedent that undefeated records are key to marketability. Now, this next point might ruffle some feathers, especially among Mayweather fans, but it needs to be said. While I respect Mayweather's defensive skills and style, and even study his fights to improve my own boxing, his style is not exactly exciting for casual fans. At the height of his career, during the Money Mayweather era, 2007 to 2017, he seldom finished his fights. Out of all his bouts during this period, he only achieved 2 finishes, one of which came with controversy. The majority of his wins were via decision, and since Floyd Mayweather was the face of boxing during this time, casual fans began to associate boxing with his style: defensive, technical, and lacking highlight reel knockouts. This perception of boxing as boring or an old man's sport likely deterred younger fans, despite the presence of other exciting fighters in the same era. Finally, we come to Floyd Mayweather's most significant and controversial impact on the sport, which might be his role in reshaping the financial landscape of boxing. This topic is complex, and it's difficult to definitively say whether the change has been entirely positive or negative. Floyd Mayweather might be the most influential boxer of all time, but his impact on boxing has been polarizing. While his contributions to the sport have undeniable positives, there are also significant negatives. One of the most profound changes Mayweather brought was the complete restructuring of the business side of boxing, shifting most, if not all, power to the boxers, from the promoters and managers. Boxers have always been the stars of the sport, but before Mayweather, promoters and managers primarily controlled the business aspects. As a result, boxers in earlier eras didn't see the kind of paychecks we see today. The Muhammad Ali Act first laid the groundwork for shifting power away from managers and promoters to boxers. However, it wasn't until Mayweather fully took advantage of this act that it became apparent just how much negotiating power boxers could wield. In 2006, Mayweather made a pivotal move by buying out his contract for $750,000. From that point on, he promoted himself through Mayweather Promotions, freeing himself from the control of other promoters and claiming a larger share of the revenue. An ESPN article highlights how powerful and controlling Mayweather was during contract negotiations, often aggressively ensuring he secured the biggest cut of the revenue. This set a precedent. If Mayweather didn't get his money, he was willing to delay the fight. Mayweather's dual role as both the main draw and main promoter of events gave him unparalleled leverage. While no modern boxer has quite the same level of control, his actions showed fighters that they, too, have significant power at the negotiating table. Boxers today frequently emulate this approach, leveraging their star power to demand the best possible deals. This change is both good and bad. On the positive side, boxers now earn massive paydays that many fans believe they deserve. On the negative side, the era of frequent super fights between stars in their prime seems to have ended. Fights are often delayed or don't happen at all because boxers focus on negotiating for maximum pay rather than prioritizing the fans' desire for marquee matchups. Before the Mayweather era, hard bargaining and delayed super fights were practically unheard of. Boxing stars regularly fought each other in their prime. Today, it's rare to see modern fighters taking pay cuts or compromises to make fights happen. This entitlement to negotiate has slowed the sport's momentum, frustrating fans eager for big matches. Another contentious point is the role Floyd Mayweather played in the rise of YouTube boxing. While this may seem less obvious, it's hard to deny the connection. When Mayweather fought Conor McGregor in 2017, a spectacle that became one of the biggest pay-per-view events of all time, it showcased the value of hype and personality over pure competitiveness. Fans were captivated not only by the fight itself, but also by the extravagant press conferences, trash talking, and the larger-than-life personas of the fighters. This historical event occurred in August 2017, and just 6 months later, KSI and Joe Weller had their fight, effectively launching the YouTube boxing scene. The similarities between the Mayweather-McGregor build-up and the KSI-Weller fight are striking. From the trash talk to the large press conferences to the overall spectacle. Even Mayweather himself later participated in a YouTube boxing event when he fought Logan Paul, cementing this trend as a pop culture staple. Mayweather's defensive brilliance is arguably his most significant contribution to the sport. His ability to avoid damage while outpointing opponents is a masterclass in technical boxing. However, his style also alienated casual fans, many of whom prefer action-packed bouts with knockdowns and dramatic finishes. This shift in perception has had a lasting impact. Fighters inspired by Mayweather often adopt a more cautious and defensive approach, prioritizing points over knockouts. While this strategy is effective and ensures career longevity, it does little to attract new fans to the sport. Boxing has historically thrived on its ability to deliver thrilling moments, and the rise of defensive styles has led to a decline in fan engagement. To illustrate this point, consider the contrasting popularity of fighters like Canelo Alvarez and Vasily Lomachenko, compared to action-oriented fighters such as Gennady Golovkin or Manny Pacquiao. While all are exceptional boxers, those who prioritize aggression and power punches tend to have broader appeal, even among casual viewers. Mayweather's influence has inadvertently contributed to a shift away from the kind of fights that captivate mainstream audiences. The emergence of YouTube boxing can also trace its roots back to Floyd Mayweather's influence. When Mayweather fought Conor McGregor in 2017, it blurred the lines between traditional boxing and spectacle fights. This crossover event showcased that fans were willing to pay for events driven by personality clashes, rather than pure athletic skill. Just months after the Mayweather-McGregor bout, YouTube stars like KSI and Joe Weller began organizing their own boxing matches. These events quickly gained traction, culminating in high-profile fights like KSI versus Logan Paul, which drew millions of viewers and massive revenue. Mayweather himself later participated in this trend, fighting Logan Paul in an exhibition match that further legitimized the YouTube boxing phenomenon. While this trend has introduced a new audience to boxing, it has also sparked debate about the sport's integrity. Purists argue that these events dilute boxing's prestige and shift focus away from legitimate athletes. On the other hand, proponents claim that YouTube boxing brings much-needed attention to the sport and helps attract younger fans. Ultimately, the Mayweather-McGregor fight proved that the most lucrative matchups are often about personality clashes rather than competitive parity. This has reshaped how fights are marketed and consumed, for better or worse. So, what do you think? Is Floyd Mayweather's impact on boxing good, bad, or somewhere in between? While it's difficult to definitively judge, there's no denying that he's one of the most impactful boxers of all time. Thanks for watching, and please keep the discussion civil in the comments. I'll continue to upload weekly. Peace.